I'm at Gilbert's house. We're finally going to install the front trunk automatic opener thingy, the Frankinator, on his Tesla Model Y. But I also just briefly wanted to mention, got a new toy in the studio. I'll have to talk about this at a later time because the Frunk thing is going to take the whole vlog, but I also I really wanted to do this. Okay, there's a second one too. But I'll talk more about this in the future. We're starting with these little shadow lights, or I think more commonly known as puddle lights. These will replace the lights that are under the door, and these will shine a little Tesla logo on the ground. It comes with a left and right light, so if you want your front doors and your back doors, you need two kits. Little connectors that, depending on the car, you need. You may need these, you may not. And a cute little screwdriver. All right, let's get to it. So here's what the door light looks like. Oh yeah, that's great. Yep. So you don't see any puddle. You don't step in a puddle when you're looking down, getting out of the car, getting into the car. You know, as you move the door, I'm moving the door here, the light moves with the door. And it's, just a soft little light. Okay, I am under the driver's side door, and here is the light we will be replacing. To pry it off, it looks like there's a little notch right here that would make it easy to pry it out, but that's not what we're going to use, because if you do that, you'll end up just cracking the plastic on this. You're actually going to want to start on this side, which is further away from the car. The car's right here. This is the edge of the door. And there are 4 little clips, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to gently pry these 2 clips off, and then once these 2 are out, we'll just slide it out. We don't even worry about the clip there. So, nice and gentle so we don't scratch the plastic. And again, I'm using the screwdriver it came with. Ideally though, I would probably use something plastic, like a little plastic prior thing. I mean, but if you do scratch up the underside of the door, like who's gonna see this really? All right, got 1 clip. 2 clips, and slide this out. And then there's just a little cable here. It's got a purple, or 2 cables, purple cable and a yellow cable. And you do want to pay attention to which way this is going, but although this plastic clip is only gonna go in one way, so it's not that big of a deal. But this is a direct current, DC, so it's not like your American wall plugs, AC, where you can kind of flip things around. You'll burn up your bulb if you put the wrong polarity. But luckily the clip of the power does kind of hold. It only goes one way. And there is a clip in here, so this will slide out this way, but there's a little clip, so I'm going to use the screwdriver again to unclip it. Kind of takes 2 hands. Let's see if I can set this so that you can still see what I'm doing. There we go. All right, both hands. So I'm going to kind of use the screwdriver to push this little... For whatever reason, my camera stopped recording while I was working on that last light. So now we've moved to the driver's side passenger door. But yeah, I'm going to pull the light out again, hitting all 2 clips on this side. And the light pops right out. And then I'm going to pull I don't know if you can see it here, but I'm going to pull out the power cable, and there's a little clip in there, so I'm going to use the screwdriver to push this down and push this out. And as I pull this out, we'll actually hear the car turn off. I don't know why, but the car knows that this, well, I mean, we know that the car knows that this light's been unplugged, but then it does turn off the entirety of the car while the light is unplugged. All right, and then here is the replacement light. They are labeled L and R. L is the driver's side doors, and R is the passenger side doors. And this cable is long enough in this 2020 Model Y, so I don't need the little pigtail. And which is nice because this just slots in. This is exactly the right size. This slots in. You won't get this backwards. But if you do use the pigtail, you'll want to be very precise about which side is positive and negative, and on the cable, and then plugging it into the light, because we're working with direct current, DC power, and we don't want to fry the light. All right, and I'm going to slide the power in, and it will click. And now the light is shining, and it's shining a little Tesla logo. And I'm going to put this light back. You want to make sure you put it in the direction it came out. If it's backwards, then your Tesla logo will be upside down. Slot that back into the plastic. I'm going to do one side first, and then the other side, and there we go. Let's take a look at how that look. Let's see how that looks on the ground. All right, and that's the new Puddle Light. It's got the Tesla logo and the word Tesla shining on the ground.
If you want to show that.
Now for the main event, the Tesla Frunk automatic front door opener thingy, the Frankinator. So it'll be replacing the struts that come with the Model 3, Model Y, which actually we have right here. This was Gilbert's blue Model Y struts. So we're going to completely take these out, replace them with these ones, and then kind of run some cables so it knows when to open, when to close, and the little brain here that's going to intercept the signals from the regular Frunk open kind of.
That's the brain.
That's the brain?
That's the actuator motor.
Oh, that's the motor.
Because it needs to pull the opposite direction of the normal actuator. The normal actuator just opens. This actuator will do the closing motion.
Yes. So this is going to intercept the signal. This is going to do the action. Okay, so in the middle here, it's kind of everything that came with the kit. But Gilbert, what else do we need to work on this project here?
Okay, so I'm going to use we'll start from left to right here. So we have the quick clips. These, we're going to need to remove some of those, and the way that they work is you just pry them with a little flathead, and they pop open, and you pull them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have the long flathead for that purpose, and the flathead will also be used to remove the clips on the struts.
Oh yeah, the little, there's a little clip right in there.
Yeah, you just get it in there and twist, and it undoes the little claw that holds the ball joint in.
Yeah, there's a ball joint in there.
Yeah, and then that 13 millimeter wrench is what we're going to use to undo this. We don't actually need to remove the bottom part of the strut.
Oh, good.
Because this will turn just fine because the ball is greased and all that, so it won't matter. The rest we'll just use 10 millimeter sockets, and we'll remove 4 bolts to get into the panels, and we're just going to do it with the impact driver. That'll be easier.
All right. You also have bungee. I know what these are.
Yeah.
Bungee cables. What are we doing with these?
So in this instance, we have, it works out so that I can support the hood on my garage, on the rafters and on the actual track. So we're going to do it, and then we're going to make it redundant so that in case one breaks, the hood when the hood is off the struts, it doesn't come crashing down on our heads.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Got needle nose pliers, wire cutters, strippers.
And it came with a bunch of zip ties, but I found that it's not even close to enough.
Okay.
You'll need about 30 zip ties total.
Okay, so these are extra zip ties that you've supplied.
Because basically what we're trying to avoid is spots where the harness or any kind of wiring can rub or vibrate.
Yeah.
And it's really, really important. They do a good job insulating that, and basically for the most part we're going to follow the stock wiring.
Okay.
because you just want to be as careful as possible about where the wires are run, and because you're going to put the tub back in, and you don't want any of the wires to be pinched.
Yeah.
So if you follow the stock stuff, it's kind of a good idea, and also they have good standoffs for the exact purpose of preventing the rubbing and vibrating and stuff. So
very cool.
And then finally, we have a 5mm Allen. We're going to use it sock. One is going to be just to get things started, and the other is going to be used with one of the ratchets.
Oh, okay.
And the purpose of which is to put in these brackets with those bolts that are over there.
Yes, yeah, these bolts were supplied in the kit.
Right. So, and if you want to go, do you want to go through the parts real quick? Or no?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, so you have the main harness. There's actually two harnesses here. One is on the brains, the side of the brains, and goes to everything, and one is on the side of the car. So that interfaces with the car. So
yeah.
And then you can see how it came in two parts.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it's very easy to distinguish which one is which because the brain side has this really cool waterproof latch connector.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really heavy duty, which is great because the previous models, from what I understand, of these brains, they weren't waterproof. So people were putting them in these like rubber housings, and they made this really amazing like latch to get it all in there.
Yeah, very cool.
So, and then a couple things about the brains that I discovered. You'll see that there's a button there.
Yeah, rest.
It says rest.
Or reset, essentially.
Yeah, I guess what they mean is reset. When you apply power finally, okay, it will beep, and if you need to, you can actually make adjustments to the programming based on how you hold that button.
Oh.
And we'll go over that a little bit later. And then on the side, you notice that there's a rubber door.
Yeah.
And that's a micro SD slot.
For like firmware updates?
Yeah, so if you want to do firmware. And this is version 4.0, or so Mark 4, they say.
Mark 4.
And Mark 4 adds a positive confirmation of when the latch is connected. So if the latch isn't actually ready to go, it won't start pulling it down, inadvertently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it makes sure that latch is all the way down, and so that before it starts the operation of closing it, of soft closing the front. So we have the clips that we're going to replace in order to put the electronic struts, the electric struts.
To replace the gas struts.
To replace the factory gas struts. You can see how much more heavy duty they look.
Nice.
And they fit just fine, but you kind of need to relocate the ball joint to help with leverage and stuff.
Sure.
And it works with these two bolts. This is probably my least favorite part of the kit, is that they use Allen bolts.
Yeah.
It's nice that they're countersunk. I do wish, but so it's nice and flush, and that probably helps reconcile the rotation of these giant struts.
Yeah.
But I would have preferred a bolt that matches, that you can actually get some grip on. I believe it's a 5mm Allen key that we're going to use.
Yeah.
And I have a 3/16, which is very similar, but it actually is a little bit too small for those. So you got to be careful when you're ratcheting it not to strip it, because you're going to probably do most of that because. As we'll see when we start the installation.
Oh yeah, also you're gonna need two people.
Ideally you have two people. Me, I can do it by myself. It's just that I can't my arms are so thick that I can't actually get into some of the tighter places to do it. And my wife helped me get bolts started and stuff like that.
For the blue car,
Yeah, for the blue car. And then also the other thing you need to note is that the instructions for this thing are extremely poor. I did the previous one without instructions.
You just went for it.
Yeah, and one nice thing about the way they do it is that it's very straightforward to suss out because every connector is pretty much proprietary and can only go in one place.
Yeah, this is only going to go one spot. This isn't actually replacing a whole lot in the car. Simply the struts are getting replaced, but everything else is primarily supplemental. This is all getting added to the car.
Right.
This shouldn't really void the warranty or anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're taking the signal and you're, for the most part, splitting it to new places to share the load with the signal that goes to the actuator. There is some weird, some software stuff going on that spoofs signals that the car reads to determine the state of the frunk and to, like I said, not drive and stuff like that. But fundamentally, you're not cutting or modifying anything really, except for swapping out struts for bigger ones.
Yeah.
But if I were taking this in for major service that involved that area, I would actually consider removing the kit.
Yeah.
I would leave the harness. I would just make it not clear that there's like a weird brain in there and stuff like that. Because they're just gonna use anything they can to say that there's something wrong with it. So
Yeah. And also, what is this yellow loopy thing?
By law, every trunk has to have a manual or button release to, the frunk has to have at the rear.
If you're crammed inside the trunk,
Yeah. So you can unlock it from the inside. Teslas have a battery, a 12-volt battery, which in some cases they're trying to get away from, but in this instance they still have a little 12-volt battery that provides power to certain safety things and to certain other features of the car.
Yeah.
Including the push button release in the frunk that allows it to open.
Yes.
If that battery also dies, there's in the tow hook, the cover for the tow hook. There's 2 leads that allow you to either jumpstart that battery or apply a 9-volt battery, and it'll actually unlock the car and it'll unlock the frunk,
cool.
so that you can get out. But this provides a manual release for that, so you can actually manually, without any battery or jumping, exit the frunk. Yeah,
cool.
So it does.
Now this is reachable from that
tow hook.
Hook port. Okay.
Yeah, so theoretically anybody could open your frunk if they know it's there, but I mean, they could have done that really anyway. So
right.
I mean, ultimately, any lock really is. They can break through your window if they really want to.
Exactly.
So, yeah, we'll just go through it little by little. Basically, the steps are: we're going to secure the hood so that it doesn't fall when we remove the struts. Perfect. We are going to remove the struts. We're going to install the new brackets. We're going to install it with the bolts. Then we're going to change out or mate this to the stock locking mechanism. And then we're going to plug in all the cables. We're not going to do any cables, but we're just going to plug in all the cables.
Make sure it's
right. We're gonna hook up the ground, and then we're gonna apply power, test it. This light on the brains will be blinking. That's normal. Blinking red is normal for some reason. We'll test it. If we need to make alignment changes, because you'll notice that these slots are pretty wide, so when you actually adjust it, it's got some play, so you have some room to wiggle. So we'll make sure that's opening and closing properly. Once we verify that operation, we'll go ahead and mount the brains, mount the additional actuator motor, and run all of our cables, and we'll talk about that as we do it.
Putting the bungees to the hood so the hood doesn't fall on us.
You can put like a ball there, like a basketball, or you can get one of those like hood keeper uppers, or you can just have somebody hold it open, but they've been sitting there for a long time.
Interns.
Yeah, so we're going to start by removing this panel, and then we're going to remove the bucket. Then we're going to move some quick clips, and then we'll open up the area to start working on the struts. We'll use our little aperture MCs as light in there.
All right.
And then go from there.
Got the top panel off. That's what that looks like under there. Got all our caps this time.
Yeah.
Now we've got the bucket.
Yeah, so 4 10mm bolts. And they're all the same on every car that I've looked at. But in case they're not, when I put them down, I'm going to put them 2 in the front, 2 in the back, so I know, the orientation that they go back.
Yeah.
Battery's dying.
Not very impactful anymore.
Yeah, these are the same, so it's not a big deal.
Cool.
And then there's one quick clip by the windshield washer reservoir filling spout that we'll need to take out. So that'll be that little long flathead. Yeah. So we got this. The way the quick clips work is you just put the flathead in the slot and you twist, and they pop out, and then you can just push it from the other side. There'll be 3 of these in this process. And this one's giving me a hassle. Usually they just pop right out.
Quick clip. Quick clip. Quick clip. Quick clip. Clip it, clip it, clip.
Is that a non-factory one too?
Nope. It is a regular quick clip.
Perfect.
So this should just come right out now that the screws and the clip is off?
Yep. So straight up. Be careful because you have the tow hook in there, and you also have this panel that we need to pull out.
Oh yeah, so that's still connected.
Yeah. So this panel pulls off from the top. It has clips And then grab me the needle nose. They're over there. Also, I keep putting a towel, draping it over the car, and also I took off my watch, any rings, any of that kind of stuff, anything in my pockets that if I'm leaning on the car to not scratch it. This one is real easy. It's just there's a little clip there, but if you wiggle it out gently on the edges, it just pops right out. And then this, you know, you can't really lose it. It's just going to dangle in there, but we got to make sure that we plug this back in.
Yeah.
And now we can pull the bucket.
Bucket.
And then that tow hook, you got to be real careful because that tow hook can easily fall out and hit the car or something if you flip it upside down.
Oh yeah. Well, that's not really secured in
just
there.
take it out, just so we don't screw it up.
This is the button if you're trapped in a frunk. It should be, you know, when it's plugged in, it'll light up. You can push it, open up the frunk onto the bucket. Down there is the strut. We're gonna get it out of there. We need the flathead screwdriver, and that's going to keep the strut keeps the frunk open. So as soon as we remove these, the hood's really just hanging by our bungee cords.
Right, redundant bungee cords, but nevertheless, we're going to be super careful. And the top, we're only going to take the tops of the struts off, which are right behind this hinge bracket.
Yeah.
And because we're going to use the wrench to just loosen the bottoms, and they can rotate in those, you know, ball heads can rotate in the inside the strut because it's all greased.
Yeah. So when we screw it, it'll just stay in there.
Yeah, and then you just will loosen it with the wrench, and then unscrew the rest by hand.
Cool.
Get more access.
Oh wow, yeah, there's much more space.
Yeah,
in
the
this
passenger side's like, I could easily just do the bottom of the strut too, but there's no need. We'll just do the tops. It also keeps it makes it harder to lose those bolts too.
Yeah, yeah.
So because I'm wedging the screwdriver against the edge of the car, I'm going to put the towel there. Thanks. And then there's a little slot. Kind of turning the strut so that I can access it a little bit better. And the towel does make it harder to see what I'm doing, and I'm working with my wrong hand. Okay, I'm in the pin right now. So just as an extra precaution, hold it up and then gently lower it onto the weight of the bungees, you know, so that the bungees are supporting it.
Yeah.
All right, and also lift up a little when I say, like, wiggle it a little up and down so that it's easier to pull the strut off the ball joint. Because this strut is taking all that pressure, you know?
Right. It's currently got all the weight on it.
So lift it up a little. Down a little. There we go.
Whoa, yeah.
So now that's
I
it.
felt all the weight
Yep.
on my hand.
So now super carefully, make sure those bungees are holding.
Bungees are holding.
Cool. And then we're safe because, you know. Yeah, you got it.
I think I got it. I just don't have a great... Oh, there's the angle.
Oh, you got the angle too. Use all the muscles. Oh, I can see you cranking it. I love it. Look at the muscles.
Oh, it's moving. It's moving.
Yep. And rotate your crescent 180 degrees and you should be able to get more, you know, the head's offset. So.
Right, right. All right, that's loose. I think I can get it.
So go ahead and reach down and unscrew it by hand. Nice. Can you hold that up a little?
Just a little thing.
It pinched my arm. It looked like I was doing heroin. Are you able to rotate it?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and like I said, you could remove the bottom of the struts and then just use a 13mm deep socket to get these off, but it's just so much easier to...
Yeah, might as well just keep it all together.
Hi, Elise. My wife's name is Elise. You're trying to film with the other hand, so it makes it harder, but you got it. There's way more threads than it seems, huh?
Yeah, it's a long...
It just goes and goes.
It's a long screw. They really don't want this strut going anywhere. Oh, I think I'm coming to the end. Aha! It's free.
Nicely done, dude. And that one's harder.
Yeah.
The easier one is on the other
Passenger
side.
side's a little...
Yeah.
So
Cool.
open. All right.
All right. So you're gonna reach in from the side here. This is the passenger side. Get that crescent wrench in there. This one's gonna go down.
There we go. Oh yeah,
Easy?
easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
Not bad for a lefty.
Not bad for a lefty. So you got it enough to unscrew it by hand?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you go.
All right, it is free.
Nicely done.
And I have grease all over my hands from the.
Yeah, from the ball joint itself?
No, from the strut. I touched the strut.
Oh, the strut. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so you did it. Nicely done.
Next, we need to add these brackets. They are labeled left and right. Where's that label? Where is it? I don't know. Maybe? Are they labeled?
Yeah, it's under the ball joint.
Oh, it's right under here. I couldn't see it from the angle I was looking at it. So this one is labeled L. So this is going to be the driver's side?
Correct, yes.
All right, I'll give that to you.
Thank you.
This one's right. So this one's going to be passenger side. And we need these two bolts. And we'll do our best not to drop them in the car.
Grab that 5mm Allen wrench.
And this.
We'll use that a little bit later, so don't worry about that.
okay.
We're going to get these started first.
All right.
So we'll start, since we're here, we'll start with the passenger side. And so some things to note about how this installs. So the purpose of the bracket. Now this is actually the first thing to note. You got the bolts, or did you hand them both to me?
I give you one.
Okay, you got the other ones. All right. So the bolt, if it falls down there, it's a huge pain in the ass to get it back.
Is it magnetic?
Nope.
Can we? No, we can't put a magnet on a stick. Yeah, it feels like aluminum.
Yeah.
So this is gonna go on the wall of it.
Yeah, and the way it's gonna sit, you're gonna see that there's part of the wheel well, right?
Yeah.
And the way it's going to sit is like flat on the wheel well, and the whole point of it is so that it's anti-rotation, so that the bracket itself doesn't rotate.
Yeah, okay.
So it only needed one bolt instead of two, because otherwise it could just rotate in place and loosen the bolt.
Right.
Now, normally, for something like this, I would put just a tiny, tiny dab of Loctite.
Yeah.
But, just really, most people like severely overuse Loctite, and I would use glue. And when I say tiny dab, I mean a little fleck to cover a couple of to one or two threads.
Yeah.
And that's plenty. And you do it right at the tip so that when you drive it in, it spreads.
It'll spread through the rest of it, yeah.
But we're not going to do that this time. Yeah, so it's going to sit like this. And you're going to hand start it in that same hole.
That same hole that the strut came out of.
Yeah. Can you see it?
It's
reach from the other side so we can see it on the cam.
It's this one down here?
Yes.
Cool.
Cool deal.
All right. I've got it started. I just need to tighten it up with the Allen key.
Yeah, and you got the bracket, the correct orientation. So yeah, use the long side of the Allen key and just kind of like get it going as deep as you can, and then we'll do the final little bit with the ratchet.
Oh, with the okay.
Yeah, you could even use the long side, but the ratchet will give us more leverage to make it tighter.
Even more.
And just make sure you're not cross-setting it and that you're getting a good rotation.
Oh, I kind of started the Allen key actually.
So you're trying to turn from the barrel of the Allen key, it's harder. I mean, you could use the short side, but you'll have to keep pulling it out, turning it, pulling it out,
I don't know. I'm running into the felt.
Yeah, all right. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm getting it even more. Yeah. Okay, I got it.
Now you can switch to the short side. Yeah. All right. Let's switch to the ratchet here.
Let me get one more. I feel like I didn't really use this. I got it further with my finger than I did with the. Man, I just can't.
Yeah, as long as it has enough tension for the ratchet to go, that's plenty, I can tell.
Okay.
Then we'll just crank it the rest of the way with the ratchet.
Gilbert's got the ratchet.
Let's set the direction first, which is correct. All right, so we're in there. We had barely enough tension for it to work.
Nice. There's the installed bracket down on that little black bit. Looks good. That's the driver's side. And there's the passenger side down there.
Nice. And so we're going to put in the electric struts. Right? And just so you know, the bottom side is the side with the wire.
All right, so this is going to go on, this end is going to go on that little ball.
Yep.
Down there.
On
now,
the bracket that we just installed. Yeah.
Right. So does this cable goes under here?
Yeah, let's actually start with the passenger side because the cable routing is going to be different for both.
Okay. But these two struts are the same.
They're the same, and it doesn't matter which one goes on which side. And these cables are basically universal. You'll see that the harness has like D3 and D4 that go with these. It also doesn't matter which one you put it in.
Right.
Because they're just sending the
both
same
open,
signal.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's no like calibration that are specific to the side.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna fish this one in. And this cable, do you see this orange AC line from the power lines for the compressor?
Yeah.
We're gonna follow this main harness here, and then come behind this arm here that's under this intake.
Yeah.
And we're going to follow the line of the AC compressor toward the battery. That's the way this wire is going to go, okay?
That's the 12-volt battery.
Yep. And so go ahead and take it through there, if you can reach it.
Oh, it's hooked on this other... Hold on.
I'm doing a terrible job
feeding it. There we go.
Okay, just try out this. We'll kink these. We're going to unwind it carefully so that it can pull out straight. All right, and that's enough. I need a little bit slack. And then, yeah, so the way this clip works, it's just tension. You don't need to put a screwdriver in there or anything. It also comes pre-greased. You can see there's some white lithium grease in there. So I'm just going to put it flush against the ball and put a lot of pressure to snap it on.
Cool.
Okay? It's very important that you snap these on all the way. Because if you drop the hood on yourself, or if they break off in operation, you're in trouble. And another thing is you'll notice that the ball heads are 180 degrees from each other.
Yes.
So they're the correct orientation already. So yeah, I'm just going to get that bottom on there. It doesn't matter how you orient it right now, as long as it's pretty much parallel to the wall of the fender. And it does take an awful lot of pressure to get that on, which is why you're going to do the other side because of my bad hand.
Sure.
Push it, Kyle. Go for it, because I don't have the strength for it.
Okay. I don't know if I...
No, reach through here. And just apply as much forward pressure as you can, because you're going to be able to do it where I couldn't.
Oh no, okay, that's a line.
All right,
is that it?
See? And I'm giving it a good wiggle to make sure that it's really on there. Great job, thank you. That's way easier when you do it. All right, and then we're gonna immediately take the other side and raise the hood a little bit.
All right.
Okay, so that's lined up. Do not lower that hood because my finger's in there.
Yes.
I'm gonna reach in. This one's a lot easier to get on because you have the right leverage.
Because it clicks into
the upper ball joint.
Yeah. And it just clicks, yeah.
Yep. This upper one, you can put a screwdriver in and loosen the clip to get it in easier, but in this case, I had it at plenty of leverage. So the hood is supported on one strut now.
Hey, not just the bungee cord.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of additional safety. And I'll grab the other one to do the honors.
All right, yeah.
Okay, take off the zip tie. And just so you know, so we're gonna come up and we're gonna follow, before you coming behind this arm.
Oh, okay.
Like right through here. And we're gonna follow this harness up. Let me see, because this is a slightly different layout than before.
Than your 2021?
Yeah. Because we're gonna make the connections right about here.
Okay.
This region. The brain's gonna sit here. You don't wanna go on any steel wires that are lines, like for the AC.
Yeah.
You'll wanna go on stuff that's covered in plastic.
Yes.
I think what we might do on this one, I don't want it running across the shock tower here. And I really don't like running along battery cables, but this is just for accessories for additional power. This is the negative side. Probably running to all the grounds. Yeah, I'll probably have to run up here and then just make the connection right around here. But if I can, we'll dry fit this one. We'll just put it here for now.
Yeah.
And then if we can, we'll run along this big harness, which isn't stock. So they obviously redid this harness because otherwise it would have this on here.
Right, when you had it worked on.
Yeah, so this is all covered in regular electric tape. So, but we'll run along this main harness and then see if we just come up through here to make the connection instead.
Okay.
So we're gonna, beforehand, we're gonna run through behind this bracket here. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll run behind it so that we can meet up with this harness. Okay.
All right.
No.
I should
Shove the wire in first. Yeah, you're upside down. The wire has to go down.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
And then run behind that bracket. So grab it behind. Further. You'll have to go one bracket further. Perfect.
Yeah,
You got it.
I was just gonna
getting it situated.
Yeah, where I can grab it.
Perfect. And I'm afraid to like yank on this because like I'm pulling against metal, so it's easy to strip the insulation, or because it's all sharp there. So the way you're pulling it is perfect.
That's in there.
Yep. You need me to have to keep this panel open?
Thanks.
So the hard part is really
lining
it up so it's like flush, and then also putting that pressure, like getting the arm strength to push the pressure is really hard, huh?
Yeah, it's just kind of a weird spot.
It is. To put forward pressure, it's like very difficult. And if the ball isn't just so, then it's even harder. If you have too much trouble, then what we can do is actually, we can slightly loosen the clip so that it just can, work a little bit more freely.
All right.
You got it?
I think I got it.
Muscles. All right, wait. Before you do all that, wiggle it and tug at it just to make sure it's really on there. So turn it rotate it and all that stuff. Just make sure it's on.
Yep.
Perfect. Great job. And then, so then I'm gonna let this go because are you gonna pull from that side? So you're putting it on the upper one. Let me know if you need the hood up or down or what.
Yeah, up. Just. Oh nope, down. Down. Down a little bit. There we go.
For me, because I have the wrong leverage because I was pulling with my left hand, which is the bad hand. I actually used the screwdriver to open up the clip a little bit to put this one on. So you're welcome to do the same.
Come down a little bit more. Down a little bit more. Down a little bit more. Yeah. Okay.
It's on?
Whew. Yeah.
No way, really?
Oh, no,
I was going to say,
off.
it should make a clippy noise.
Okay, down a little bit more. Okay. I feel like if I could get my other finger.
I know, I felt the same way. Also, remember the bracket? This bracket here is actually pushing away from you, so I kind of put like the opposite tension on it so that it didn't like sap away some of my strength. Oh, that's the one. Do the same thing, the wiggle and stress test.
Yeah, it's on there.
Excellent. Nicely done, dude. All right, let's take a break and I did the exact same thing to my arm. It's this thing that gets me right here.
Oh, this? No,
Yeah. It was getting on this one on the bottom because you were going the other way. Yeah. It's hard, huh?
Yeah.
So these struts I think take the longest, and then cable management.
Yeah.
So nicely done, dude.
Whew. Struts in.
Let's take eat some food.
Little break.
Eventually.
Now that the struts are installed, we can remove the bungee cords.
I didn't see the hood drop, so that's a good sign.
Good sign.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Danke.
I'm afraid I still want to hold the hood. I don't know why, even though I know the struts can perfectly hold it. All right.
All right.
And, just so people are aware, you can operate the hood manually.
Yeah, it's not going to damage the...
It shouldn't, but you got to be, just treat it nicely.
Yeah.
That's it.
Sweet. We've got the struts in. It's holding up the hood, the Frunk hood.
Yeah.
And we are now going to swap... What is this, an actuator?
The actuator is the motor here. That's the
okay.
factory actuator. We're going to keep that on. We're going to use it. It's going to be the part that unlocks the latch.
Okay.
And then this spring pulls tension, and that's how the latch stays unlocked.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole point is we're going to add another actuator so that it pulls it the opposite direction against the spring. So that's how it's actually going to perform the locking and the bringing down of the latch. So we're going to pull this off and mate it to the new one. There's 2 bolts here, 10 millimeters. A lot of times when you see paint over a bolt like this, it means that they were torqued to a specific specification, and someone actually verified that they were torqued.
Yes.
Just like there's paint on these, that just means someone checked them and torqued these bolts to factory. Because remember, these are the bucket bolts.
Yeah.
But this would have been under the bucket, so you wouldn't necessarily see that. So this just means that someone actually checked them.
Okay.
So I don't know the torque, how hard this is going to be torqued. So we're going to use like the old mechanic standard of like good and tight.
All right.
So you take a standard 3/8 ratchet, which is usually about 10 inches, hold it at the end, and you give it a good and tight. It's usually around at least 20 foot-pounds of torque. So
okay.
and usually that's pretty good. And then, so we'll take that off. We're gonna have to move the spring. That's tricky. If you want to do it, you can try. Otherwise, I'll do it. And mate that other part, put it back on, and then we'll run some wires. That's it.
Okay, we're gonna run the safety, open the frunk bit. This is the little tow hook spot, and you go to noon, 1, 2 o'clock. Give it a press, and it opens. Yeah, so this is what Gilbert was saying. I think I got it on camera earlier. You can touch a 9-volt battery to these leads, and it will unlock the car if the batteries
are dead.
It won't do it if the battery's still got
Or
charged.
you can use that to jump the 12-volt battery.
Oh yeah, you
Help
can
recharge
jump.
them.
You jump that 12-volt battery
Yeah.
to at least get going. All right, so how are we running? That's the new actuator.
Yeah, it's an additional motor. So yeah, if you put your hand through, you'll be able to actually, if you look through, you can actually see the light of day from here to the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just gonna run that through, and then we're gonna zip tie it to here.
Hey, there's the little hole there.
Cool. So yeah, run that. Yeah, just zip tie it right in the front.
But you got to zip tie it after this, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just zip tie it so that it's like nice and flush together. It's okay if you zip tie on this because you're gonna cut it when you use it anyway.
Oh.
Yeah, so just zip tie them together loosely. Don't make it really tight because you don't want to crush those wires.
Right.
And then when you're done, trim the excess. So you'll make it tighter than that. Like less than dime size for sure. Pinky size.
All right. So now these are all held together. Take that excess off. And then put this back together.
You'll see there's a little slot where it's keyed, so you'll know it's sitting in the right spot.
Yeah.
Nice. Boop. Cool. So let's pull the main locking mechanism off.
Whoa.
So this is a little tricky. This took me a while to figure out because remember I didn't have the instructions. So the factory lock, we can pull this harness, and the way this works is this clip comes out, and then you push it down, and then it can come out. Okay.
Oh.
So this one, remember, is the one for that panel with the button on it.
Yes.
This one is for this, and we're gonna mate them together. And I've already taken pictures of all this in case I screw up. So there's a couple things you should note about this. One, be careful with the micro switches. They're redundant, but even still, you want to make sure that basically what happens is when this opens, it pushes down these micro switches, which tells the car that the car is open, closed, or whatever state it's in, okay? If you accidentally lock the latch, right, after you undo the spring, we're going to actually pull that spring off of that pin, which is super freaking dangerous.
Yes. It's mousetrap.
Yeah, it's a spring under high tension, so if you pull it, it could snap in your face, it can scratch the car, it can do all kinds of crap. So you got to be careful. But basically, I'm going to pull that wire over that silver pin and pull it off. The spring will stay where it is, but I need to take the aftermarket part to mate it, and I'm going to put this hook over that pin, and then I'm going to replace the spring.
All right.
Okay? So let me get the needle nose pliers, wherever I put them. Ta-da, you have them. The magic of movie making. Also just being prepared, right? Can I have that towel, please?
Yes.
All right, so if I lose an eye, it's your fault.
Oh, okay.
Wear goggles, people. So I'm gonna grab it from the top here.
Yep.
And I'm gonna like basically work away from myself so that if I slip, I'm slipping away from it, from my hands and my face.
But the spring goes towards your face.
So there, I got it.
All right.
Okay. So that's the thing, that's one part. Now, if this lock happens to lock, that's the incorrect state. So how do you unlock it? And the answer is you do what the car does, which is you operate this pin and it will unlock. Okay?
Okay.
So that's all the actuator's doing. It's basically operating that pin through the spring, through the pulling motion of this.
Mm-hmm.
But what we're doing when we lock it is we're pulling down tension, right?
Yes.
So basically the new motor is going to pull down like that, which is why we're going to hook that part on. But the old motor is the one that unlocks it by hitting this spring as it pulls, and then basically it can, so that it can unlock, right?
Okay.
So that's what we're hoping to do. Okay. All right. So now, thank you. This part will mate onto here, like so. And they fit well together. So now on my first one, this didn't fit over the pin from
It's
the.
too tight.
Oh, perfect. The other one I had to file down a little bit.
Wow.
And now we're gonna take this. I'm gonna pull a little bit of tension here, so that it's nice and taut. And I'm gonna tighten this nut so that it can stay loose. You don't need to. This only needs to be hand tight for now. And then that tension we can suck up from here.
On the other end, yeah.
Yeah, we could even pull the rod there. But anyway, so then now what we're gonna do, now that they're mated together, remember I was telling you how it understands that it's open or closed? This one has its own micro switch
Oh, yeah.
that will go down, and that's how it knows that it's caught.
Cool.
Okay. And then we're gonna basically just gonna screw that back in after we put this, we're gonna put this back, and we're gonna move this pin back over there to keep that track.
The spring.
The spring, pardon me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, watch your face. I was gonna say my thumb's in a horrible spot, like because it could snap back and hit my thumb.
Yeah.
And then, oh, if you unhook this by mistake, it goes right in here.
Oh, okay.
Some people actually will unhook it from this side after. So I'll show you the opposite. So they'll release the tension, they'll rotate the spring,
And then get the other end.
and then do the other end because you have more purchase. Yeah. So let me get that part out of the way.
So that spring piece just sits, in between.
Yeah. So, and again, this one seems less safe to me because it can hit the meat of my hand, but you have way more room to grab.
Yeah.
So for some people that's easier. I found it easier last time to pull the other pin. And notice it's locked, so I want to unlock it. Harder when it's under tension. Okay. You can see how much tension is there,
Yeah.
so you got to keep your fingers out of the way. All right, and then I'm just going to replace it back where it was with the two 10mm bolts. And then the other side. Thank you, sir. And I'm using the factory bolts even though it's going through two pieces of metal now.
It's not that much longer.
Yeah, so a lot of people use an impact driver for this kind of stuff. I tend to just use it to get it flush, and then I will always finish with a hand ratchet so that I can feel the torque. Remember I said the good and tight part?
Yeah.
Even though impact drivers have a ton of torque, especially the good brushless ones, you'll never get as much torque as you would with a good ratchet with length. Right?
All right.
So you can actually feel that. And also I'm kind of centering it.
Making sure it'll still line up with.
Yeah, so at this point, go ahead and bring that down. And I'm going to look at the mechanism and see where it lines up. Oh, that looks like butter. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten this down.
All right.
And you can give me the impact driver for now. Okay, so that's not good and tight yet. It's just impact driver, and I'm gonna test this again. Which that looks really good. It might even come up a little bit on this side to be even better. So there, I just moved it maybe 2 millimeters or 1 to 2 millimeters at the most. Okay, and I'm gonna check it one more time. That's good. I'm hitting just the metal part, and I can see the existing wear.
Yeah.
So that I know that this is hitting pretty much exactly where the existing wear is. So that to me seems perfect. So I'll go ahead and get the 10 millimeter on the 3/8.
So now the last couple of...
Yeah, now that I have it lined up really well, I'm holding at the end of the wrench and the ratchet, and I'm putting some pressure down. And good and tight is really just that feeling where it's like you're not going to over crank it and break the bolt.
Yeah.
But it's still tight enough so where you can feel it has some good tension. Cool. And in the absence of the actual torque spec, that's what I'm looking for. And remember, you have so much leverage with this, even at like 10 inches, that it's still very, very tight. Harnai.
The harnesses.
We're gonna dry fit the Harnai. Both sides, the brain side and the car side. And you'll see what I mean by that in a moment.
Okay.
And we're just gonna like leave it as a jumble in the center because we don't want to mess with it until we have a good idea as to whether or not it is fit. So, or working. So we're gonna do a test run after we get all those connections done. So.
Cool. We've got the cables, the harnesses, as you would say, run. There's the brain.
I got the brain. We didn't run any harnesses, but I just threw them in there for now.
Oh, okay.
So the brain, again, we're gonna sit here. We're gonna put some double stick and zip ties there. We'll just dry fit it there for now. This is a buzzer.
Yeah.
We'll use that later. This is gonna supply our battery power, and this is gonna go into this terminal right here, this part of the positive. This is the positive side. This is the negative side.
Okay.
It's fused, and then notice that they cover intelligently. They cover that spade so that it doesn't just touch anything. That's the other side of the spade connector, which we'll find on right here.
Okay. Wow.
B plus. So we'll put that in there, and that'll be the battery positive. And so I'll set this right here. Hopefully it doesn't fall in the car. The buzzer's gonna go right about here. Hopefully that doesn't fall in. And then when I say the brain side harness versus the vehicle side harness,
right.
This is the brain side. You can tell because it's got this big, giant waterproof connector that'll go in there.
Yes.
That'll be off to the side here. And we'll start with the car side harness, which is this with a bunch of Y cables on it.
Right.
And
interceptors.
Yeah, and this is all for the actuator side. So remember that cable that I pulled off here?
Yes.
Which is this guy floating around. Kind of the way that I figured this out without instructions is I noticed that pretty much all the connectors match the style of cable. So remember this little red part that I pulled out and then pushed down to open?
Yes.
The equivalent of it is right here, right? So that's D42, so Delta 42. And what I'm gonna do is on the other side of the Y, I'll go ahead and plug that in.
Yes.
It only fits one way, yeah. Let me make sure I'm doing this correctly. Wait, I have to look at the keying. It's keyed on that side, so it only fits one way. I just didn't trust myself, so it snapped, and then I pushed this to lock it.
Yes.
And then the part that remember I took this off the Tesla, the other side of the Y goes where I unhooked it from, which is right here.
Nice.
No. It's up top, sorry. Don't listen to me. So it's right there, and I didn't even need to undo that because it was already pushed in and it snapped in. And remember, I'm just doing this dry for now.
Right.
I'm gonna be running this all pretty later. Yeah. So now we have some other cables on the stock actuator. And on the stock actuator, notice that there's this floating cable here and it's got a cover on it.
Yeah.
This is don't plug anything to this. This is, I believe, for diagnostics.
Okay.
So don't worry about that. And then we have the one for the panel.
Yes.
Okay. So we have, where'd the Y go? Follow, here it is. This cable has this crazy waterproof gasket.
Yes.
Right? And that goes to here, which we'll grab the small flathead for. And then, so I'm going to pry this up a little. Just to unhook that. And hold that, please. And remember the Y concept. So the one that looks just like it with the gasket and everything.
We'll replace it.
We'll replace it. And then the one that I just pulled out will go in the other connector on the other side of the Y.
Yes.
And also I'm looking at, I should really be careful and look at those blades and pins. just to make sure that they're nice and straight and flat before I start putting things in. I don't want to accidentally bend a pin, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we got 2 parts done, and then the part that I was accidentally trying to plug into, I'll show you later. But yeah, so we got this, and this is D43. Let me make sure it's not for this one. It is, yeah. So D43 goes right here. I want to undo it so that I can get it to the correct side. Because again, we're going to go back and kind of unplug each one of these when we do cable management, but one at a time.
Right.
Okay. And now that's providing the intelligence, the signal to this actuator to say, hey, I'm unlatched, right? That's the micro switch that it's connected to.
Cool.
Or that I'm properly latched, right, is what I should say. So that's the vehicle side, and now all we need to do is take the other side of that, which is this big connector labeled with a serial number of some sort or a model number, and we can look at the brains side and just find where that goes. This big connector goes elsewhere. There we go. And that's labeled D1, Delta 1. And again, I'm looking inside the connector to see if all the blades are flat and the pins are flat. And then here's the locking portion. Here's the locking portion. And I mate those together and they're locked. And this one you hear it snap?
Yeah.
You hear it click into place? Okay, so now I know that that part is good. Okay. And now I have a big one that goes into this actuator motor right here. And again, I'm looking at those pins just to make sure they're good. The lock part is on top. And I don't want to push against these wires. Always push on and pull on the connectors.
Right. The plastic.
Right. And then what else do we have? See, it's actually pretty easy.
Yeah, this part.
We have, which is the ground. And the ground I'm going to put right here on the existing factory ground. I could actually put it there or here, doesn't matter. I put it there. And then, let's see, we have D4 and D3, which go to the struts, the electric struts. It does not matter which one goes to which.
Okay.
And then we have D2, which fits on that buzzer.
Nice.
And then we have battery plus, which fits on this side. And that's it. And then we can test it.
Very cool.
So let's, I'll need another 10 mil. Can I have that small 10 millimeter ratchet? Let's just do it here. We'll loosen that.
You don't have to take it all the way off.
Just enough to get the spade in. And then we're also going to loosen this connector up here for the positive terminal of the battery. Just enough to get the spade connector in. Okay. So that's prepped. So the first thing...
Ground.
Yeah, we'll do ground first, but we're going to connect all our other connectors first.
Okay.
So struts have 2 cables.
Yes.
And they only fit in one place each. But again, I'm looking at those pins, making sure they're okay. 1 and 2.
Nice.
And the other one on D4, we have a small one and 2. Okay. And we have our buzzer, which is going to sound quite loud without the hood being closed. What else? You want to do the honors with this? It's so satisfying. So push this in and then snap this lever closed. Just make sure, inspect the pins.
Yeah, they all look straight.
Yeah, make sure it's going the right direction. You'll see it's got for these edges, it's got those little hooky things on the sides.
Yeah.
So that the latch can hook into.
Yeah.
And releases that way. I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay. So just make sure the paint tabs match.
Yeah.
And then it goes through, and then you crank it in like that.
Cool.
I see what you mean by engaged. Okay.
Yeah, the switch, the locking mechanism.
All right. So we're gonna mind our buzzer mined our battery positive and our ground. And oh yeah, I did put
Flathead?
No, the little guy. The little ratchet, yeah. So we are
All right.
okay, so we're grounded. I'll take this kind of loose. The wrong one. And I'm gonna put this on the terminal first, because when I plug this in, I'll get a spark, and this will be a nice way to cover that spark.
Yeah.
Because in the absence of a resistor. So I'm gonna put this in first.
Do you want me to hold the cable?
No. I just wanna make sure I don't put metal on the other side of that terminal at the same time.
True.
Good and tight. All right, so here's a moment of truth. I would move your head out of the way, Kyle, just in case it cycles. And I'll be ready to move out of the way if it does. So I actually just like to use the connector. So I'm gonna slide this in just to use the connector as it's supposed to be used.
Yeah.
Should hear a beep. No beep. I'm a little surprised, but
We got light.
we got light. This is connected. All right, no beep. That's weird. I'm not gonna lie.
And this is just going back to its original cable. There's no interceptor cable for this.
Right. We didn't get a lighting. Oh, maybe because the car's locked down. Hold on, I'm gonna push this heads up. You wanna film it?
All right.
Just watch out, because it might cycle.
There's the
Good.
beep.
Okay, that's a good sign. Woke up the car, and it doesn't cycle if it's not using the main thing from here yet. So
Okay.
what I'd like you to do is go in the car, and this will be our first test. Hit the Frunk close button, or it's gonna say open.
Yeah.
It should, on the graphic, it should show that the Frunk is open.
The front is open.
First test.
Tap the button.
Okay, so that's, you hear that noise?
Yeah.
That's the actuator motor running. Go ahead and push it again. The actuator motor's running, but it doesn't have tension. Okay, we're gonna fix that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's working.
It's trying.
Watch your head. Is the air conditioner on?
Yeah. That's the compressor we're hearing.
Yeah.
So what are we doing now?
I'm adjusting this so that it has tension.
The little pulley thing on the pin.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's press that Frunk button. All right. Nothing? Okay, he's closing the front manually.
Open it.
And let's open it up. All right. Oh, it's opening on its own.
Now close it.
And now we'll hit open again.
Yeah, because this will tell me that if it doesn't go down, it's because that front doesn't have tension.
Oh, and it's closing. It's closing.
So let's see if it locks. So we had to get it in the right cycle. It pulled it in, and notice that it's misaligned here.
Yeah.
And the reason why is because it's not pulling against the gasket of the bucket. When it pulls up, when we install the bucket again,
It'll push it'll.
Yeah, and it'll be better aligned.
Be
So
pushed back.
let's open it again. Actually, let me open it from the app this time.
Okay.
And then
Wow. That's pretty fancy.
And then let's try closing. It says this action will remotely open your trunk,
Yeah.
but obviously the graphic says it's already opened. You hear it running the factory latch
Yeah.
every time?
Even though it's still open.
Yep, and so let's open it again. So we got good alignment, which is great. So, okay, the other thing is, on this brain, we're gonna go ahead and set the speed, and also you can set the height. I'm gonna hold down the reset button. I'm gonna keep holding, and the first beep you hear will set the height to whatever you have it set to when you hold it.
So you would have to like hold it with your hand.
Yeah, or move it into a position,
That you
then hold it, and when you hear that first beep, then that height is set.
Okay.
We're gonna go beyond that until we get to 6 beeps, and that's gonna set the speed of the frunk. Right, I think factory default is 4.
Okay.
That's what it was on mine. So I'm holding. That first beep would set the height.
Okay.
That's slow. That's a little faster, and so on. It's 4. That's 5. And that's 6. I'm gonna let it go. And it should be in the fastest setting, which isn't, it's not, it's subtle.
It's still not super fast. So you're triggering it with the app. Yeah, that's a good speed.
And now open.
Yeah, I would say that's a pretty good speed there.
Cool. Let's run some cables and then we'll wrap it up.
All right. My least favorite part, cable management.
All right.
Very clean.
Very clean.
Nice.
All my zip tie tails are sticking out. And we're going to walk through how we ran all this stuff while you cut them.
All right. So you got a little black zip tie right here.
Yeah, so
holding the strut cable.
Yeah.
Headed to the brain.
Yeah. And so that's on those 2 big wires going into the dash. And then we run along. So cut that one. Keep all your tails.
Oh, don't just let them drop into the darkness.
Drop them inside this air intake. Okay. And then we're running around along this orange AC line, this cable. There's one under there. You see the tail there? So that's 2 zip ties. Yeah,
So
you don't have to get it perfect, so just go as close as you can without without going over. Price is right. Price is right.
Huh?
Right, bid as close as you can without going over in the showcase showdown.
Price is right.
Yeah, man. Spay and neuter your pet. I don't think you're on the clippies. On the
yeah, the cutty
there's
part.
a word for it, but I don't want to use it. All right, so cut the zip ties along the orange. So this is 3. And so basically I took from the brains and ran.
This is the power. So the strut cable, the power cable, are positive.
Battery positive, yeah.
Line.
This one I don't like is this the fuse housing for
Clack,
the.
clack, clack, clack.
Yeah, so I'll probably wrap that in electric tape. I did that on the other one. I'll do that on the other one as well.
And
The strut connector and the buzzer connector.
yeah, so the little piezo speaker.
Yeah, so I put that on the brains. I just stuck it to the brains. you go. And so the other strut cable, I came through here and ran it along this big factory harness behind these arms. Came along through here. Probably could have put another zip tie right where that was running down over through here. I probably should have put one right here.
Oh yeah.
I think we're out of zip ties because the stupid ones that came with it
Broke.
Yeah, they were crap. So keep following that. And you see how I double back the cable from the struts and then the main actuator connector and
Yeah, so you had extra lines, so you came down and then back.
yeah, through this hole. And I ran behind this tower and out through here. Came in and connected all that along the bottom. So go for it, go to town. Let me get on your other side.
All right.
Remember there's one hidden in there.
Yeah.
You don't have to cut that one super close, the one that's hidden in there.
Yeah.
I like that we're not using regular cutters, instead of using the cutters on the wire stripper. And it's forcing you to really work for it.
All right, this is the closest one to the actuator.
Yep.
And this one is actually holding the actuator to this beam.
You see how I went behind that arm and curved out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then this one is also doing the same thing, but it's one of the ones that it came with and you didn't trust it.
I didn't trust it, so I doubled it up. Yep. Otherwise, we would have enough zip ties for that. I could put electric tape on it if we were out of zip ties.
Yeah.
A little too close, but that's okay. You're not really in the cutter. You're mostly in the. You gotta go deeper. There you go.
Yeah, that was kind of close to the.
To the strippies.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's your birthday tomorrow, and this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's fun though.
Yeah.
I love this stuff.
I like learning about it.
And you're good at it too. You have like a natural inclination for it too. I've noticed.
Yeah, this is like a much larger scale of me changing the pickups of my guitar.
I don't know. It's pretty much the same scale. Like
There's just more of it.
yeah, maybe that's what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would probably have made a real good engineer to begin with. I think we've talked about that.
Yeah, I just didn't have the patience for the homework.
I probably should have been an engineer. It's all I read and study. It's annoying. I really should focus more on the camera crap.
Keep reading about.
I don't know. You know me.
Yeah. All right, last two, right?
I think so.
I think so.
I like to do the tails at the end because it gives me a chance to like go over my setup again. Like for example, like that part that we missed.
Now that we've,
Yeah, like I would have. Now I know to go ahead and fix that, and then
rather than just cutting these as you.
yeah, I may
you
not
go.
have gone over it again. So man, that looks pretty.
Yeah.
Everything's completely out of the way.
Yeah. Just need to put.
Yeah, and we left
emergency
that wire dangling. That's the only one that's kind of like loose.
Yeah, but we should plug this in after we put the bucket back in.
Yep, exactly. So we got to make sure to fish that through the bucket hole. But yeah, let's get some electric tape on the electric bag, and then we'll tape that one as if it were a zip tie, and then we're also going to tape around the fuse holder, just to give it some padding because we don't want it, vibrating around and breaking itself.
Yeah.
Nicely done, Kyle.
Very cool. Putting the quick clip back. All right, it's all the way in, and then I just push it in. Clicked. Now it's locked in there. Bucket's going back.
Are you recording?
Yeah.
That's funny. All right, so keep in mind we need to pull that wire through.
Mm-hmm.
And then the bucket has these two side clips that it's going to rest in on these tabs that are near your hand.
Yes. Right here.
Okay, we got our cable.
Get the cable.
And I'm just outside of my clips. Okay. All right. So we're in the clip. Nope. The clip's not even there.
Yeah, no
Oh,
clip.
your clip's not there at all. Okay.
No
So we're
alignment
missing that.
clip.
So I'm gonna make sure these holes are aligned. Which those are good, those are good. And we got the 2 in the front.
And the 2 in the bottom.
Okay. The reservoir spout anyway.
One last quick clip.
Yeah.
Hey.
Alright, and then we'll put the top on. Connector.
Connecting the button. Putting the button back.
Okay. It's got tabs. It's got tabs on the bottom. And I put those 3 in first. And then snap it along the top. I'm gonna test it real quick before we put this lid on.
Okay. Whoa!
And you see how it's all nicely aligned now?
Yeah, it's a lot more flush now that the bucket is back. Cool. It works.
You and your side clip there?
Yes. I think so.
Yep. Go if you want to set. Are you recording?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I don't know how aligned they. Oh, yep, that's pretty aligned.
There it goes.
Okay, but that feels better now.
Oh, I broke these vents. I'm so
Oh,
stupid.
no.
Let me retain them so I can meticulously repair them.
Yeah, super glue.
Yeah, it'll look good, but still, that was the unforced error. It's because like this
Be
is
careful.
This
Be
is
careful when
flexing
you're
down. There we
retouching
go.
Your vent.
There we go.
All right.
All right, I will meticulously repair these. I can't believe I just did that.
All back together, except for the little vent pieces we just broke, but we'll put that back together. Let's open it up with the app. There it goes. That's speed 6. That's the fastest speed.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
And then
And we're
close.
closing it again. There it goes. It kind of sits there and then fully latches in, and it gives a little beep. Thanks, little beep speaker.
Cool deal.
Very nice.
Nice.
Nice work.
Except for that one thing that broke.
The little vent.
Unforced error. Let me know.
It happens.